way up in the sky. Don't let it all go passing by. You know you only get one life.
Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." I thought that quote was fitting for today as I sit down with Justin King, the man behind All Chalked Out. He's not just a coach, he's a husband, a father, a leader, and a mentor. His work is built on sweat, grit, and discipline, but his message goes deeper than reps and routines. This conversation is about masculinity, what it really means, where we're getting it wrong, and how we can reclaim responsibility, sacrifice, and strength in a world that desperately needs strong men. Please, without further ado, let's welcome Justin King to the show. Justin, how you doing? Thanks for joining me today, man. I'm pumped to have you on, my friend. I can't wait to jump into this. And I think for my audience, I've come across you on Instagram, and I am grateful I did because you, to me, are what I like to describe as a motivational force of nature. So I can't wait to get into this, as people can probably see I'm already jazzed up. So with that, man, would you mind introducing yourself?
No, not at all. But first and foremost, thank you so much, man, for this opportunity, Charles, really and truly. So any opportunity to get on a platform such as yours, and I know you have a good bit of subscribers on YouTube and you do a great job. You have some good guests that I've been able to kind of watch some of your stuff, and it just flows and you do a really good job. So thank you for that. Yeah. And also thank you for a little bit of the love right there. So my name's Justin King. I am from South Louisiana. I've been in a couple different parts of it, but I'm in Walker, Louisiana. Man, name it, I've been in it when it comes to sports, athletics, young coming up, had a chance to play some college baseball. Went to 2 years at Bossier Parish Community College and went to Delta State, which are all still down here in the South. When I got finished up, I'll back up. So great childhood, mom, dad, honestly, really and truly, if you watch the show Stranger Things and it's got that 80s theme, right? That was my childhood. Like I couldn't have grown up in a better town. Just blue collar, work ethic, kind of taught to be my old man, my grandpa, that type deal. So from an early age, I would say work ethic was something that was instilled in me heavily. And so I brought that into sports. I brought that into training as far as lifting weights. Even younger, that was something that always drove me. And so much so that when I was in high school, I already knew I wanted to be a collegiate strength and conditioning coach. I knew, like, that's what I want to do. I saw that, and that was something that's what I went to school for. I went for kinesiology, exercise science. And right after when I got done with baseball, I went to work for a guy named Gail Hatch. And I apologize, Coach Gail Hatch. And for people that don't know who that is, he is literally a legend, not only just in these parts, but in the weightlifting world, right? Olympic weightlifting, that is. Coach Hatch is one of the greatest weightlifting coaches of all time. There is actually a weightlifting encyclopedia. He actually has his own chapter in the weightlifting encyclopedia, his own program. Again, I'm not him, but I was able to train underneath him. I coached underneath him. I actually lifted weights underneath him. And I've got a story, if you want to hear it later, about my last meet with him and how that went. But just to kind of give you one more little reference for him, he was the head weightlifting coach in 2004 when we went to Athens, Greece. Mm. He was over the team, right? Going up there. Shane Hammond set a couple of American records and stuff. So that was my mentor when it comes to the weightlifting side. And really and truly, man, I did never go the college route. I went to work for him when I got out of college, and I did that for 5 or 6 years, and I wouldn't trade it for the world, to be honest with you, because the knowledge that I was able to pick up and the people that I met through that journey was just, kind of life-changing, to be honest with you. It really means a lot to me still. So that's a big part of me kind of coming up in how I got into the strength and conditioning side, right? That was something I was geared towards early. I knew I wanted to do that. And then obviously getting to go underneath one of the greatest to ever do it, that obviously you got to take that. You got to go that route. And that's what I ended up doing. And that was obviously, kind of my early days, kind of getting started off.
Yeah, just hearing you speak about him, obviously you can tell the impact he had on you. I love when I have guys on that speak about their mentors, because you can tell by the way they speak about them, how much they impacted them. And Justin, from following you a little bit here and doing some research, going back, and I think I told you the other day, preparing for this, I felt like I was stalking your Instagram in a way,
Yeah.
right? But it it amazed me because sometimes you get on social media, you start going down a negative rabbit hole, looking up conspiracies and
Yeah.
things like that. I was in this positive rabbit hole, man, going through your videos and some of the things, and it's obvious that you're fit. Obviously, that you know what you're doing when it comes to fitness, lifting weights, and things like that. What struck me, though, I think, was your. I think there's a lot of people in this world that can be fit, but I don't think a lot of people have what you have, and that's the ability to push this message out to others. And I think that's needed. And what I wanted to start with was I think it's on your Instagram. You define your work as forged in sweat, grit, and discipline. So, beyond the training floor, what does being a man mean to you?
Wow. So you, first off, great question. Honestly, the way you lined that was pretty good. It means everything, but I think you got to take a step back and, something that we're working on is really and truly what defines being a man, right? That's a big question now, right? It used to be a simple, oh yeah, just being a man, but there's so many things that go into it. I think it is more than just obviously, the sweat off your brow and your work ethic. We know men go into, we provide, we protect, right? Those are innate things that we do. But I think it's vast when it comes into all the other elements of being a man, right? All the other pillars, if you will, because that's something I'll definitely share with you and we'll get into. It's not just being strong and fit. It's not just being, skillful in a craft that you can go make a living at. It goes into, you have to have a soft side. You have to have a compassionate side. You have to have, emotional control. There's a lot of things that go into it as far as on the man side of things, but I think overall in general, it's something that it still matters in our society. We still need strong men. We need it. And you said earlier, far as we were talking earlier before we started the recording, is you were talking about there's such a lack, right? There's such a lack of masculinity, if you will, strong leadership role men. It is. We're starving for it, and it's apparent. So I had two posts. I've got two posts. Thank you for one on the social media side. That's something where my message is definitely gearing more and more towards men. I started looking at my audience, and listen, I love my women. I love my the ladies that know that the masculinity role, it matters, and they back it up, they support it. And I'm appreciative of the women that have stepped up. And honestly, over the years, unfortunately, women have stepped up more and more and more and taking on a masculine role that they probably most time don't want to, would rather not, but they have to, because guess what? It's not there. Right. So I appreciate and support my ladies, but I saw my audience obviously being more and more and more, as far as 80+% men. And so, it kind of hit me. It was like, yeah, I need to speak to my men. I'm not trying to throw this broad blanket over everything. I need to get a little more specific and talk to the men who are drowning, talk to the men that don't quite, they don't quite have that confidence they used to. They don't have shit. They don't have it, period. You have a lot of men nowadays that are beat down. They're working their ass off, but they don't feel like they're making enough money. They're raising the kids, but they don't feel like they're doing a good enough job. They shut down. And I made this post yesterday. You have conversation with your wife, but yet they can't just have a conversation without blowing a gasket or shutting down, and just kind of crawling into their little hole and doing their little thing. Or maybe we're going to go outside in the garage and work on the car. We're going to escape it somehow, some way. And that's just something that I think is being more and more prevalent. And we need to be able to give the tools back to the men and say, hey, man, no, it's okay, right? This is how we do this. And so just with my message towards them is saying, yes, number one, obviously with my program all chalked out, it is a program geared towards just obviously fitness. It's strength. We can go into the program and stuff a little bit more, but it's a strength training program that kind of has obviously a little bit more meaning to it for me anyway, personally. And we need to get men back on the wagon in the sense of, it's okay to be strong. It's okay to go, get 30 minutes in something, right? Lift weights, take care of yourself. We know that as men. And I think what happens is we are younger men and we're strong, and maybe we worked out. We did high school football or whatever, right? Maybe some of us played a sport. So we were in the weight room, and you just lose that as time goes on, job and everything else, and everything's busy. And I get it. You lose your way. I know because I was there. I did it. My ass got straight up swole up. You know what I mean? I went from Olympic weightlifting, competing, on a high scale, college athletics to life. It happened. I've got a picture of me pushing the stroller and me, that was even not my worst yet. You know what I mean? I was getting there. I got more pictures down the line. I was getting there. I was that dad pushing the stroller, being soft. And I had a good buddy of mine. I was on a job. We were doing a job. So actually, when I say I've been in on the strength side of things for a long time, I actually, for a little stint, built weight rooms and stuff. We actually built weightlifting equipment, racks and benches and things like that. So we stayed down in the South primarily, building weight rooms for high schools and junior college, right? So we're on a job one time, and I got a great buddy of mine named Billy Martin, who's been knowing him since I was probably 6, 7 years old. He's one of those guys who's an asshole, and he's going to keep you accountable, right? He's going to tell you shit that you don't want to hear. He don't care, but he's all right. You can give it back to him too. Anyway, so I had my foot up. So I'm in the truck. I have my foot up on the dash, right? I'm sitting there in a break. He reaches over. He takes a picture of my belly, and I got about 25 rolls that are just disgusting. And it was that aha moment for me, Charles. I'm telling you, like, I didn't realize the time. He sends me the picture. I see the picture. I was like, what the fuck? That was so bad. That was the first time it hit me like, dude, what is this? Like, who is this? Right? I call it the Job of the Gut picture because I look like Job of the Gut. You know what I mean? Like, it was not cool. Yeah. That was a wake up call for me. It was like, I can't do this no more. I can't. So I know I'm getting off a little bit, but for me, that was kind of my aha moment. And that's kind of, for me, I think about the men out there that are in the same place. It's going to take an aha moment. It's going to take something for them to go, shit, I need to get it back together. Right.
Yep. Yeah. And Justin, I think, obviously I was there myself, man. I was 100 pounds overweight. It got to the point, man. I'll never forget this. I had a doctor finally. My aha moment was finally the doctor asked me legit straight up. I went in, he said, "You have 8 friends." I said, "Yeah, why?" He goes, "Good. You're going to make a heavy coffin." I'm like, okay.
Damn.
All right. Yeah, man. So that was
solid.
That was my wake up call. And then you mentioned about men and being soft. It's funny. The name of this show is the Bear Essentials Podcast, and it's that name because my kids nicknamed me Bear. And I'm not stupid, man, and they didn't mean anything by it. They're little kids, right? But you know why they nicknamed me Bear, dude? Because I was soft and cuddly. And I know that. So I reversed it now. That's my alter ego. I'm Bear, but now it's time Dare to roar, right? That's the whole thing. So I get where you're coming from. I wanted to ask next, though, because you went into a lot there, and I think there were so many really good points there. And I don't like to always kind of go to the negative first, but before we go to a positive,
sure.
I want to ask you this. Where do you think men are getting it wrong, especially when it comes to masculinity? And then how do they realize what they're getting wrong to be able to kind of reverse course and get it right?
See, I think that's the thing. I think that's part of it, right? I don't think there's a realization, right, that they're getting it wrong, right? Because listen, you know the deal. We get out of high school, we are taught, yes, we got to take care of ourselves. But again, it's almost immediate in our society. We have to start providing. We have to start taking care of, right? And especially down here, down south, maybe a little different up north. Down south, it is ingrained in us. You're getting married, you're having kids, you're going to work, you know what I mean? You're supporting, you're whatever else. So your life is already dictated for you. This opportunity to go and do whatever you want and be who you want to be. Yeah, obviously, yeah, that's there. But really and truly, it's almost ingrained in us that we join the workforce, we raise the family, we do the thing, and that's fine. That's fine. But on the losing that masculinity side, I think we have I think when you have a generation of men coming up now where, like, let's go back. Tell you what, let's go back, and I will cover this because me and my cousin Dallas from Texas, we've had this conversation many times over the years. Now there's a radio show down here called Walton and Johnson. They always talk about the wussification of America, right? Well, we talked about generations wise, and this was interesting to me. And I know that if you can think about, and some people have great relationships and they know their lineage, some don't, and that's okay. But if we know our lineage, we know where our great grandfather, who he was, my grandfather, my daddy. He said he went down the line, and I'll spare it for time. Basically, my great grandpa to my grandpa, prime for prime, who can whip each other's ass, right? We went, of course, the fight route. Who can whip each other's ass? Then went, all right, cool. My grandpa to my dad, prime to prime, who can whip each other's ass? You know what I mean? And we went down the line. And then, like, if I go back to my dad and me, now I feel like I'm pretty stout. But damn, my dad was a beast too. So it's like, but he's dirty. You know what I mean? Like, he ain't going to give up. He ain't going to quit. So, and now look at me and my son. You know what I mean? Now, of course, I'm sitting there thinking, hey, bring it, boy. Like, you ain't beating my ass, right? And that's that mentality. But also, you look at how we've gotten weaker as a society just in the several generations that we're looking at, right? And so what happens is I think we're already kind of against the marker of we're not as masculine as we used to be. We're not as, gung-ho. We don't take as much risk. We have these kids baby wrapped. I mean, not baby wrapped. We have these kids in bubble wrap nowadays as you're coming up, right? Like, for instance, we went to, we call them the Red Cliffs. We got a little place in Mississippi that's got it's like canyons, right? It's like big washout. Well, we walk up and it's a straight dive down, man. I mean, if you step off, there's no guardrails. To me, this was a holy crap moment for me. Our kids walk up to this edge, this cliff, and if you go down, it's not good, bro. It's not good. Like, there's nobody to save you. We'd have to somehow get a helicopter. I don't know what we're going to do. Just don't fall. Don't do it. We walk up to this ledge. It's a straight shot down. And the kids are just like, oh, this is dangerous. Somebody should put some guardrails here. I'm like, oh my God. Like, listen to that, right? That's that fear, that the protection, right? That's where we're going wrong in the sense of, everything has to be safe. Everything has to be, if a young man acts out, he's violent, he's toxic, he's whatever else, right? We have these little boys that do things in school that 30, 40 years ago, they never would have thought about. But now we're pumping them full of drugs and we're trying to calm them down. And we're trying to whatever else. And so I think as a society, we have done this. We have molded young men to where they're not what they were. Our kids are not what we were 20, 30 years ago. And so I think that's number one. Let's say now we are getting into young men and adulthood, right? That type deal. I think one of the biggest things, and I work with young men all the time, is you follow the rules and you play the game and you get rewarded, or if you step outside of that, then you're not. And so you have some young men that have the rebellious spirit, that have, so again, it's the same thing, right? It's the same thing, just now we're older. So we get in trouble when we're kids. Now we're older and we have that gung-ho spirit. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to whatever else. Then everybody's like, he's an asshole. He don't listen. He don't pay attention. He's not with the system. You're never going to make it, whatever else. So any spirit that a young man has, it's already getting knocked down. It's already getting kind of like cut out from underneath him before he ever gets started. I see that a lot, right? And so that's a big part of it on my end, right? Now, how do you snap out? How do you realize? That's a great question too. I think it has to go back to, again, it's the individual, but I think ultimately what it comes down to when you get into the thick of things, when you get into tough shit, you're trying to figure out a way or whatever it is, life's going to happen to you. It's going to kick your ass and it's going to punch you right in the mouth. And I think for the most part, that's when men have to wake up. Even if it's a young man, at some point in their life, they have to have their aha moment. Now, mine was not about masculinity. My aha moment on the weight gain side was seeing a picture of my ugly fat belly that pissed me off, right? But on the masculine side of things, you've got to, how many ass whippings are you going to take? How many times this shit's going to keep happening and you're going to keep getting passed over? Are you going to keep getting rolled over or walked over? You're going to be a mat. How many excuses are you going to make? How much time and energy can your lady or your mom or whoever pour into you and say, it's okay, baby. It's okay, baby. Right? Because that's what happens. That's okay, baby. Society. And it's not, you have to get these men to step up and say, nah, I'm not doing this shit no more. Right? Find their voice, find their, find the pair, right? Grow into the man that they are supposed to be. But again, I think for the most part, they're not going to come to that conclusion unless the shit's just bad, because we're in such a soft society that, my God, man, you can fail a gazillion times and still be like, I'm okay. Right? There's so many safety nets. There's so many, like I said, barriers, guardrails that we just don't ever see them get to the bottom unless a lot of times what happens, the bottom is going to be upstairs on the mental side of things, right? That gets into self-worth. That gets into what we feel about ourselves and everything else. And that is something I think, honestly, nowadays, I think is definitely worse than it was when we were coming up. Maybe it's a good thing on some. It's a good that we don't just suppress and push things down, right? That I think we've grown a lot in that way, but also because we are so in touch with our feelings, we're so maybe speaking those things that I don't think we have enough emotional control. I think a lot of young men, they can't handle hard shit without losing it, right? Or getting pissed or getting mad at somebody else, or they transfer blame. It's not my fault, it's your fault type deal. To me, that's an epidemic. Young men not be able to take some heat, not be able to take some fire without ejecting this. I don't need this shit. You know why? Because I can go back and stay with my mom and dad's. They got food, they got AC, I got my Game Boy, I'm not my Game Boy, geez, I'm old, my Xbox, right? So anything time shit gets tough, they just bounce. And I see that a lot with the youth nowadays. And I'll tell you one more is like, you know, I got a kid that is a great kid, he's a great athlete. He's a great athlete. It's like, he's really impressive, man. And he don't like the coach for the team. So he quit. I'm like, I hated my coach. Okay. Like everybody hates their coach. It's like, it's a rite of passage. We get it. They're hard on you. They're assholes, but you do it because there's many reasons why you do it. But for me, it's because I love the game and I wanted to continue playing. I want to see how good I could be. No matter how shitty the coach was or how much of he was an asshole to me, I played despite him. Right. So that to me is a part of a young man's journey, right? Maybe I'll show you. And that's maybe what we're missing, Charles. Like, we don't have enough, I'll show you. That's the problem. It's like, instead of I'll show you, it's like, I quit. What? And that's the thing I can't grasp, man. It's like, where's your heart? Where's your soul? Where's that oomph? Where's that fire? Where is that man or even young man in you that says, I'm going to show that motherfucker what's up? And that's what I see in a lot we don't have of, man.
Man. Amen, dude. Amen. Yeah, you're really everything you just said there is, I couldn't agree more. And that's what I was saying to you earlier. I think somebody like you is needed because of the fire that you listen. There's multiple ways to deliver the message. And I experience a lot of those ways with the podcast. And I think there's a message out there that suits everybody. But I do think sometimes that message needs to be delivered with the passion and the fire from someone like yourself who, let's be honest, man, you look a little bit intimidating. I think people need that in a good way, right? I think that's needed, sure. Justin. I think it's needed. So based on everything you said there, though, I think this is a good segue because you started to talk about a little bit. You said we'll get into it later, and I think this is perfect now. Based on all you just laid out there, let's talk about some of the things you have going on in these pillars, because I think those pillars are going to help rectify a lot of what you just said is wrong.
Yeah. So let's talk about two things. One, my thing is on the fitness side of things. Listen, I've been in fitness pretty much all my life. I took about a little 4-year stint, 4 or 5-ish. I did not, man. I was working. I was doing it. So again, I can relate because I was there. I was working in chemical plants. You name it, I was in it. Down South Louisiana, that's what we do. Petrochemical, bro. That's what we do. Gas and oil, right? Texas, Mississippi, down that. Well, not much Mississippi, but that's what we do. So working in the chemical plants, raising family, and making excuses. I don't have time. I'm tired. And yeah, man, I'm working 10, 12-hour days, no ifs, ands, or buts. And at that time in my life, sure, I was tired of working my ass off. I'm wearing FR gear and it's Louisiana summer when it's 102. I'm down on a barge on the Mississippi River cooking. You know what I mean? Not in the good way cooking, like it's baking me on this job. So it does take a lot out of you. So I don't ever take anything away from my blue collar boys. Been there, done that. But also I know there was time. There was still time that I could have made to get my fitness on and take care of myself physically, and I didn't do it. Right? Super, super long story short. Started getting back to my fitness, found CrossFit. Believe it or not, I was a CrossFit denier. Okay. When CrossFit first came out, I was Olympic purist. They're stupid. They're going to kill everybody. They don't know what they're doing. I realized once I got into it, okay, this is about fitness, not about trying to be great at snatches. So did the CrossFit thing, had my own gym, ran it for 10 years, shut it down. And now with all chalked out, this is an opportunity for me to kind of go back to my roots. We have, true strength training base where we get a chance to really challenge our bodies in a lot better way, in my opinion, a little healthier way. And then we do have a little microdose, if you will, what I call a microdose of CrossFit. We still kind of finish our workouts the same way you would in a CrossFit gym. And it's something where that's a part that I enjoyed. It's a part that I really brought over with me. And so in the program of itself, that's one of the pillars on the physical fitness side of things, right? So I definitely am going to stand strong on that pillar. But I've got a good friend of mine named Josh Arnett. He's over in Texas as well, around Houston. And Josh has been a pastor. He's been counselor. He is the hours and hours and hours of study and philosophy and everything else this guy has underneath his belt. I'm proud to say he's been my friend since I was about 7 years old as well. I got my boy Billy and my boy Josh that I've been with for a long time. And he shares a lot of the same passion that I have. This guy's very intellectual. He speaks well. He's not a bullshitter. But he's going to tell you straight. And so we, about 2 years ago, started talking about this. The same conversation we're having right now, Charles, about masculinity and the lack thereof and how we're desperate for it. And he kind of had an idea of how can we actually how can we actually help men? We can sit around the table and talk all day long. We can jump on podcast all day long and talk. What the hell are you actually doing to help young men? Like you said earlier, how do you discover that aha moment? How do you get out? How do you realize that you're not living in your masculine, right? You're not owning it, right? How do you discover that? One, I think it's going to take something bad most of the time, something in a really bad place. But what makes up masculinity, right? Because one of the posts that I made, and probably one that you saw, I seen a couple. I posted a couple. One, it was the two men shaking hands right out in the middle of the street, right? They had a little beef. One didn't even know there was a beef, but one guy was he had it in his crawl for a year. This guy pulled out in front of him or whatever else. Nonetheless, they shake hands. Great moment. That's got 3 million views. Okay, 3 million views. And I do my little segue on the back end because it shows what masculinity is. Now, at the top, Charles, I put healthy masculinity, right? It's going to save this country. And I had so many people pissed that I put healthy masculinity. And the reason why is because what they said was masculinity doesn't need any adjectives. And I always came back for most of them and said, you know what? I agree. Masculinity in and of itself doesn't need anything. It is what it is. But the problem is when we have this whole social media movement and our society movement that is labeled toxic as masculinity, right? So now the narrative is if you act out, if you do anything, anything on the man side that's not agreed with, then it's toxic. So my thing is, and our take is on healthy masculinity, is the fact that we're combating that. If you're going to ruin a word with an adjective, then by God, let's add one back that's going to push it back the other way, right? And so that's my only thing. Now, on the masculinity side of things is what we did was say, okay, how do we actually help men? So we come up with a company where basically a mission, if you will, is called Reman. And where Reman comes from is remanufacturing, right? We do it all the time in this country. That's what we've done. We remanufacture things and build it back better. And we're remanufacturing masculinity or remanufacturing remanufacturing modern masculinity in the sense of giving men tools to, one, understand what all their masculinity encapsulates, but also, two, how do we actually input it and allow us to be better overall? Okay. And so with that, the 7 pillars, we are physical, as I talked about. That's number 1. Obviously, emotional is got to be right there and with it. Now, granted, before I continue, this is our interpretation. This is our study. This is our digging deep. This is our looking at all the different, facets, I should say, of masculinity. And we feel these 7 pillars, if you will, are the things that we need to focus on the most. So obviously you have physical, emotional, spiritual. Obviously has to be in there with our walk with God or creator or whatever you feel, right? Far as academic, I don't think we put back into ourselves enough study-wise, reading-wise, soaking up information to allow us to be better. How did you get good at your job? If I got another friend of mine who is he's an instrument tech, right? In the chemical plants and stuff. Dude, he's got to be pretty smart, right? That's a lot of information to pick up, to understand what you do. You had to learn. But we don't invest back in ourselves. We don't read. We don't pour into ourselves at all. It's like, we're done. We got it all figured out. And I don't believe that's the case at all. Social is a big one. So social is going to be one of your pillars as well. I know human beings that are very inept in having this conversation like this. You know, and I guarantee you've had guests that you've invited to come on that turned you down because they could not do this, right? Guaranteed. So on the social side of things, not only just social when it comes to actually interacting people-wise or social media per se, just how you are as a man in that setting and what are you contributing to society, right? That's a big part. What are we doing in our communities, right? What are we pouring back into where you live? I mean, we can sit there and say worldwide, we're going to do this. What are you doing right there in your own community? And that's something I take heed with myself. In the past, I've been very involved with the community. Right now, I've been so locked in on work and what I've been trying to do. I haven't been. So even me saying that right now is a conviction to me. It's like, yeah, I got to get my shit back on that. Right. Financial. Okay. So we know that we're trying to protect, but we also provide. So on the financial thing, I think that's something that a lot of men get skewed as well. We've got to lay the financial thing down in a healthy way. And that's two ways. One, we got to understand if you're on the low end of the totem pole right now as a man and you're maybe not making that as much income as somebody else, that doesn't devalue you, bro. That does not devalue you because you don't have $1 million in the bank right now. You're less than. Bullshit. You put your pants on one at a time. You get your ass up. You put your heart out on. And you go work and you do what you got to do. Can we increase your opportunity and your chances and maybe move up to a better job or whatever else or go do your own thing? Yeah. Financially wise, however, I think a lot of men hang a lot of their self-worth when it comes to that. And I'm telling you, I can tell you because I've done it. No ifs, ands, or buts. I've done it. Knowing I'm working my ass off, I'm grinding, and this whatever dude over here is just killing him. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, you know what I mean? So you attach that to yourself, and that lowers your energy, that lowers your vibration, lowers everything when it shouldn't. The other side, you are doing well. You are providing financially. You are killing it on that end. Just because you're killing it on that end of the pillar doesn't mean that other pillars aren't weak, right? And I think that's the part I'm going to get to in just a minute. I'm going to come back to that. Last one's going to be sexual, okay? What does your sexual health look like? What does your emotional health look like? What does your financial health look like? What is your social health? All of these are kind of throwing health behind it because when you throw the health word in there, that's health in the best way possible is, you know, are we shut off from our partner on the sexual side of things? Were we rejected at some point and now we've kind of shunned them and now we don't really want to give them, open up to them, right? Whatever it is, right? Sexually, I think on the sexual side of things, that was one of those pillars where we just had to put it in there. There's so many men that deal with so many different things sexually wise, right? That ranges but I'm going to go ahead and cover this one real quick. The number one men deal with is shame and guilt and all the things that comes along, right? Especially again, I go back to down here in the South where we're in the Bible Belt and there's a lot of things sexually wise that you're just beat down about that you shouldn't be doing this, shouldn't be doing that. How dare you, sex before marriage, this, that, you're a sinner. You know, you should be ashamed. You know, all the things men carry this shit with them. And honestly, they don't even know what a good, healthy sexuality is because we're infested with porn. And we believe that is the thing. Now you got the OnlyFans movement that came up. Jesus, men don't have a shot, man. They don't have a shot. They really don't. And it's just like, God, like you can't escape it. But again, the model is they know men are visual. We're going to do it. So you know what? Send it. There's no doubt the reason why you have OnlyFans girls, models, whatever else making more than like Mr. Beast and shit. It's like, what? It's like, how's this possible? So that will tell you right there where we're losing it on the masculinity side of things. We're so sitting there on our phone just watching OnlyFans or porn or whatever else. Then we're not living our life. We're not trying to better ourselves, right? And so, let's bring it back. Going back to the pillars, right? So the way that we like to talk about the pillars is you got to look at a pillar as one. You can look at them as a Greek Roman pillar holding up a big building, you know, back in the day. I think that's the way we like to look at them. But also I like to look at them like a bar graph, right? And let's say 0 here, 10 here, right? Let's use the financial one again, okay? I got a really good friend of mine who has done really well for himself. And, you know, he's still a great dude. He's humble. He's all the things. But let's say he wasn't, right? Let's say you got those guys out there that they build their pride up on how much money they make. And they weigh how much they already pass judgment because you, Charles, like for instance, you, Charles, you don't make near as much as me. therefore I'm better than you. Somehow, some way, that ego gets so involved because I make more money, therefore your opinion doesn't matter. You as a person actually are devalued, and that's what they're doing. They're devaluing others because you made it. Like, what the fuck? That has nothing to do with anything. So just because you may be a 9 or 10, right, on our scale or our pillar, that doesn't, you're still a 2 over here when it comes to social. You're a 2 over here when it comes to emotional. You're maybe a 4 on the physical, right? And probably when it comes to anything else you can think of, what does it matter if you're a 10 here, but I'm 3s, 4s, 2s over here? That doesn't make a complete man. So that's what we're trying to do with the pillars. And I'm trying to paint that picture of the pillars come into play because you may be knocking it out of the park on these levels, but these levels were really, really low. And that's what we have to work on climbing. So what we're building with Reman in and of itself is actually something interactive to where not only do we lay the pillars out, what they are specifically, right? What it entails, but then also a workbook, a actual, like, think of it as a glorified Bible study, but no, like leaving God and Jesus out of it a little bit, right? We're obviously going to talk about spirituality, but still a actual study for men that's going to have to do the work. We are looking at obviously book form, right? PDF, you can print it out. We can send you one, or a more interactive approach as well. We're going to have videos. We're going to have everything coming in. We need to lay the foundation. Understand these pillars matter. All these pillars matter. And if we just raise up one level, if I go from a 3 to a 4 on the academic side for me, if I pour into and I read a book, Charles says, man, you got to read this book. And I read this book and I pull something out of it. I just went from a 3 to a 4, maybe not in one setting, but you know what I'm saying? If I'm climbing that ladder, I'm trying to be a well-rounded man. And that's what we want. We want men that have integrity, that heart, they care, right? All of these things, because as we build each pillar up and as we grow, that makes us well-rounded. So therefore, we are better for our family. We are better for our people. We're better for our friends. We're better for our job. We're better for everybody around us. We're just better. And that's what we want as men, to be better, to be the best versions of ourselves. And that's what Reman is going to try to bring. That honestly, we've looked hard. There are great programs out there. There's great mentors, if you will. I can name some guys out there that do a good job, and they have some places that you can go and you can have like a clinic, you can have a weekend thing, you can have whatever else. Churches do it, but nobody's actually saying, how do we rebuild this? How do we remanufacture what masculinity is and actually help men actually do the work to get better instead of just talking about it? Or you had a really good weekend. Congratulations. You know, like you see some of those military style programs, right? Where the men, and a lot of these maybe are executives, they got a lot of money, they've gotten soft, they lost their way. You know, they come in for a week and they get beat down by these cadres and shit like that, right? That's cool. And listen, I've done go ruck challenges. I've had the shit kicked out of me, and I know what it brings emotionally wise, and I know what it brings confidence wise when you've been fucking head down in the goddamn mud and they've been, you know, basically just on your ass. But when you make it through, I know that feeling. So I understand where they're coming from. But that's emotion, right? That's emotion. At the end of that, you're so emotionally spent, and all these things come flooding in. And does it feel great? And do you know you accomplished something? Yes. But emotion fades. Motivation fades. You didn't get anything concrete out of that. You proved to yourself that you could go through hard shit and you made it out. Okay, good. If you needed that, then good. I'm glad you got that out of you. And I'm glad you understand now that you can keep going when the times get tough, yada, yada. But what did that help you on these 7 pillars, on any other level? Because they don't talk about spirituality. They don't talk about academia. They don't talk about sexuality. They don't talk about any of those things. They're just beating your ass down to see if you can make it. So again, that's not all. That's just some. But my point is, there's not many programs out there that actually input to men so that they can then go back, self-reflect, and do these practices, do these things where actually getting themselves better. And can I tell you one story before we go? Or not go, but before you move on? My boy Josh loves to tell this story. It's my story, actually, but he loves this. I think he thinks it's his own, but it's not. It's my story. This is to me, and this is kind of one of our cornerstone stories. And it's not something that I even thought about at the time. It just happened. So my wife is a absolute beautiful, sexy goddess, badass. Okay. She is amazing, amazing woman that honestly, dude, I can't imagine. Anyway, she's badass. So I take my son to baseball. Now we've got split family. So she had been divorced. I've been divorced. Together we got 6 kids. We're like the Brady Bunch, okay? Straight up old school Brady Bunch. All right. So anyway, so one night, this is probably about a year ago. One night, I got to take my boy to baseball practice. She had her girls doing activities, whatever else. Now, by this time, it's like 7:30, almost 8 o'clock by the time I get home. They've been home. She's on the couch. Hey, on her phone, just spaced out, bro. She's gone. She's gone. The kids haven't had a bath. There ain't no food on the table. They haven't eaten, like nothing's happened. The house looks like a wreck. And I come in, and honestly, Charles, I'm kind of pissed. I am now in the traditional male role, right? The not good. Now, any women watching this, the not good male role of what the hell you've been doing. Why ain't you got this house in order? Why ain't the kids done? Why ain't the food ready? I was there. I was there. In my head, I was pissed. I've been going working all day. Da, 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 right? That classic line, right? So I come in and I can tell something's not right. She wasn't just Facebooking and going, ooh, look at this. She was gone. She was gone, right? So I talked to her a little bit, and I know she's not well. She's spent. Her brain's fried. She physically is almost like wanting to close down. She's shutting down, right? And she didn't give a shit if the house burned down. She was sitting on that couch. She was done. So I'm still kind of pissed. And I say something kind of snarky on the way out. I'm like turning away from her. And she was like, what? And like, what'd you just say? Because she heard it. She felt it. And I didn't even look back. I didn't turn around. I didn't answer. I didn't want to get into a fight, but I was being an asshole. I was. Whatever I said was an asshole comment. I opened the refrigerator door, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks, man. I knew my girl was down. I knew whatever she was dealing with was not just her being lazy. She was emotionally spent. She was physically spent. She was not well. And I sat there and opened the door, and I was like, dude, you're healthy. You're not really tired. Let's be honest with you. You're okay. You got a lot of energy. Like, pick up your fucking slack. Pick up her fucking slack. Pick up your slack, dude. What are you doing right now? You can't give the kids bath. You can't fix supper. You can't, get the house straight. So I did, man. I literally, it was my decision right then. It was like, not out of spite to her. That was not, I'm going to show you. It was none of that. It was out of love. It was like, literally like, what the fuck's your problem? Why can't you step up? I shut the door and immediately. It's like, all right, hey, Ken and Carrie, let's go baths. Kenzie, get your ass down here. Da-da-da. I started fixing supper, started getting them baths, started moving them. I fixed our supper. I got all the kids bathed. I brought supper to her, set it down. Here, baby. Like I did everything that needed to be done that she couldn't do because she was at 10% and I was at 90. That's my job to pick her up. That's my job to help out. And so Josh uses that, and we use that in our story in the sense of the refrigerator moment. The refrigerator moment is realizing we have more to give. We have more in the tank. It's up here that you're pissed and you're mad and you're upset and maybe whatever else. How about you step up your job? So as men, as healthy masculine men, that is our goal. That's our job, is to, when our partner's down, hey, bro, right? We talk about the rising ships. That's ideal. It goes in the same boat, as far as that goes. And so that is what Reman is. That is what we're all about. And that's where we are in the process right now of bringing that. We are full-fledged by the end of this year, wanting to release the full model, or first of this year, like no later than the first of this year. We want it lined out to where we make an impact and we're able to get on shows like this and share what we're trying to do with men, that we really believe that instead of just talking about it, which there will be a massive amount of conversation, but we're actually boots on the ground doing something about it. And that's what I feel good about.
Man, listen, I think I'm going to have to put a disclaimer on this podcast about be prepared for your heart rate to get sky high, man. Like energy.
I apologize.
No, man, it's good stuff, man. The energy that you just talked about there, about the refrigerator moment, right? I feel like you're living that truth. Your energy is up. Gets my energy up, man. I can only imagine. I feel like, I feel guilty, man. I feel like I should have paid to listen to you do a motivational talk, man. I am privileged today to have you on, Justin, and this is what I was hoping to get out of this, man. And I can't wait to see when this is in completion, man. And you listen, man, if you'll agree, I definitely want to have you back on once you release officially,
Oh,
because
sir.
I hope that this is the first of many episodes, because I think we could have, dude, I could talk to you for hours, man. I really could. This has
I
been
appreciate that, brother.
fantastic. Before I let you go, I want to give
Sure.
you one shot here to just tell some people where you want people to search you out, man. Where should they look for you at?
Sure. Thank you, man. Well, we actually do have a little bit we're building that right now. We do have, it's called remanmission.com is if you want to get on there. It's just a landing page right now, but we are doing what we're doing, we're sending out so they can reach me on my Instagram, right? So maybe put that in the comments
Mhm.
or something like that for us. Instagram DM me. We're building an email list, which is great. And so far as and also on the fitness side, because I am still holding up, minding the bargain on the pillars of the physical side, all chalked out. That name derived from, listen, man, that's 15 years in the CrossFit game. 15 years of talking up heavily, especially down here in South Louisiana, where literally got chalk just running down your arms. You're sweating so much. I've had so much chalk in my hands, on my body over the years, trying to lift weights and get after it. I guess, again, it was kind of a play on words. I'm all chalked out, bro. Like I just, but our program again is not on the physical fitness side of thing is definitely something that men can do and dig into because it's old school, baby. It's kind of mixing the classic old school Arnold, bodybuilding stuff with some newer functional things. It's a good combination of the both to keep things interesting. So all chalked out on the physical side, Reman Mission, REMAN mission.com on the other side of things for the masculinity stuff, which is coming down the pipeline. And I'm super excited about it because we are going to be trying to incorporate more like what you do in a podcast style setting. We having conversations, being open, because I think there's a lot to this that men need to kind of absorb, to understand that, hey, that sounds like me. Like, man, what he's saying is like, holy shit, I feel that. And if we have those moments with men, that even if it's one at a time, slowly but surely, men start going, you know what? It's okay. Like, because I think lastly, the problem is most men, they feel like they're on this island, right?
Mhm.
They're on this island that it's the way they feel, what's going on in their world, what's going on in their life. It's their issues, their problems. They feel isolated. And it's just not like you shared, man. You do kudos to you. 100 freaking pounds, bro.
Mm.
100 pounds. That's
Thanks.
so awesome. So congratulations. But at one point, I guarantee you felt like you're all alone. Like nobody's been overweight and lost weight before. You know what I mean? It's not the truth. So if we can at least have the brotherhood, if you will, open up and allow men to really just understand it's okay. It's okay. But also right behind that, we got to get better.
Mm.
Right.
Amen.
It's okay to understand your feelings and be where you're at. It's okay wherever you're at right here, right now. We take you, we accept you, we love you. You're good right where you're at, but we can't stay here. And that's probably the biggest thing for us is we're going to take you as you are, but we're going to level up. And I think that's what Reman Mission comes into play.
Can't wait for you to launch that, man. I think it's needed. I think you're doing work that is definitely needed in this society, Justin, and kudos to you and your team for it. Listen, like I said, I really appreciate you jumping on here today. This was definitely extremely fun, informative, motivational, all of it from me. What I say to the audience, anybody listening, watching, please check out Justin on Instagram. I listen. Part of my mornings now will be checking out, seeing what you got going on. Listen, I agree with you. Motivation does fade, but I don't mind starting the day with a little bit of a dose of it, man, to get
Oh
me
yeah.
going.
Yeah.
And you definitely fit the bill and do that, my friend. And everything I've seen with you on Instagram, you came absolutely as advertised. So thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Brother Charles, thank you so much for this opportunity. And honestly, thank you for giving me a chance to step on your show, which, like I said, it's great. And you do a great job on the interview side and keeping things rolling, man. So good job. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Well, listen, everyone, please check out Justin and keep up to date for what he has coming in the future. I will have show notes there for you to easily click
Awesome.
and get in touch with Justin. So, listen, I'm always grateful for my guests and for everybody who tunes in and watches. So, everybody, take care. Thanks again. Bye. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. And I hope what you take away is that strength fades, chalk washes away. But the way a man shows up for his family, for his community, and for himself echoes long after the weights are put down. Justin King reminds us that masculinity isn't about ego, bravado, or domination. It's about discipline, sacrifice, and lifting up more than just a barbell. It's about lifting up the people who count on us. So when the gym grows quiet, when the lights shut off, and the world isn't watching, ask yourself, what kind of man are you becoming? Thanks for tuning in and supporting the Bare Essentials podcast. And remember, dare to roar.
This has been the Bare Essentials. Thanks for listening. And remember, never hibernate on your goals.